Hello and welcome to the Daktronics Experience podcast. We are at the Pistons Performance Center today, talking a little bit about Detroit basketball and the things the Pistons have going on here. I'm Justin Oxner here with Matt Anderson. We're joined today by Mike, Nick, and Casey. Let's start with you, Mike, and maybe give us a little history of yourself and how you got to where you're at with the Pistons today.
Sure, love to. Mike Willaert, Senior Vice President of Facilities and Construction with the Detroit Pistons. I've been with the team since 2012. In a previous life, before that, I was in construction management, renovating the Palace on behalf of Platinum Equity and Tom Goras. Got to know the team, long story short, was recruited over a period of about a year and a half. Worked at the Palace for about 7 years and transitioned to moving the team downtown into Little Caesars Arena. Played a big role in the integration of the team into that building and our player complex, kind of retrofitting the building with all the NBA requirements. And then shortly after that, built the Pistons Performance Center with Nick and some other teammates, and moved down here and managed this facility along with the amphitheaters, Pine Knob, Meadowbrook, and Freedom Hill.
I know you said construction management. Was sports always kind of in your view too? Or
it was. I did a lot of colleges and high school, so I've been working with Daktronics for a very long time. I don't want to date myself, but I bought a lot of scoreboards for football fields and basketball courts.
Okay.
Yeah, and how about you, Nick? Can you tell us your role?
Sure. I'm project architect and designer for the Detroit Pistons, and work here with Mike quite a long time here. At another life, I worked at a sports architecture firm for 10 years with Mike on his various projects, dating all the way back to the Palace and even the practice facility back in Auburn Hills. With the dedication of the Detroit Pistons moving downtown and moving all the facilities, our team and with Mike helped design and construct all these new facilities here in Detroit.
So you're kind of a package deal then too? The two of you kind of live there? And
Yeah, you know what? I was paying Nick for so long as a subcontractor, it just didn't make sense not to hire him.
Okay, and was that like what you kind of went to school for, was architecture, and that was the plan?
Yeah, I went to University of Detroit Mercy School of Architecture here in Detroit, Michigan. So I've been in the city a long time and loved working here on projects here in Detroit. Sports architecture firms usually work all across the country, around the world, and my previous experience, and all that kind of led here when we were all in here on Detroit. And so I was really excited to take that opportunity, work locally here in Detroit.
Nice.
Cool. And we'll throw it over to you, Casey. We've been hanging out with you quite a bit here, getting everything set up here today, so appreciate your help with that. Yeah. But maybe tell everyone kind of what's your title here and how'd you get to your spot today?
Yeah, so Casey Beauford. I'm the broadcast engineer with the Detroit Pistons. I've been here since 2021. Going into my fourth season. So kind of always worked in broadcast. I mean, even in high school, I was in the AV classes and things like that. So went to Western Michigan University, graduated with a degree in broadcast cable production, and started working at Fox 17 in Grand Rapids, where I grew up, and just kind of always, like I said, been working in broadcast. I worked with NFL on Fox while I was in college, driving to Detroit from Kalamazoo while I was still in school. Working on those TV trucks, and it's just to be a part of that show. It's been amazing. So I was like, if I can do this the rest of my life, this would be awesome. So worked with Fox 17, lived out in Milwaukee for about 8 years, working for Time Warner out there. Moved back home because this is where family is, and worked with Comcast and their local production department. And then this job opened up, and I said, this is a dream come true, and Mike called back with the job offer. I was like, all right, let's go. So it's been fun. But yeah, I've always been, as they say, I got bit by the broadcast bug early, and kind of been here doing this for over 20 years now. So.
Yeah, was it broadcast or was it sports the goal too with broadcast? Do you want to pair them? Was that always what you wanted to do?
You know what? Sports is probably more interesting. I've done news. News is depressing.
It can be, yeah.
So once I kind of got into sports, it's the feel good stories, and it's new every day. You don't really have to write stories. New sports kind of writes itself. So it's always new. It's always fresh, and it's fun.
Nice. Not everything's scripted, right? You didn't write the script for this upcoming season or one of those commercials are where they review them all the time. And this is an amazing facility, you guys. Thanks again for welcoming us in here. We want to spend a little bit of time talking about Little Caesars Arena. What is an average game day atmosphere like at Little Caesars Arena?
I mean, they're long days. You're getting there early, but it's exciting, man. Because it's the lights coming in, it's with the trucks, and you're doing the shows. You're seeing all the players that are coming in. It's surreal every time. Like I said, I'm going to my fourth season. Every time I walk on that court before the game, I'm saying I can't believe I'm here. And then once that crowd gets in, man, it's going to sound cliche, but it's electric.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So you guys have been to a bunch of games and know how the atmosphere can be. It's new. It's always new to me. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I would add to that the complexities of playing in a dual sports arena, bring their own challenges for sure, but we're also very busy with concerts, so flipping from concerts and hockey to basketball is complicated. It's always complicated flipping to basketball with the production requirements, but we also have some really high-end baseline clubs that are a part of our setup that I don't know if you guys have seen them on TV, but they're state-of-the-art. They're the coolest end zone clubs in the league for sure, but also require a lot of additional setup, right? Probably north of 100 man-hours that you're adding into the complexities of flipping from hockey to basketball. And we also did a dual event game this season where we flipped from hockey to basketball, which was a pretty big undertaking, but was a huge success.
In like one day, or what was the
Yeah, in
time
one
span?
day.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice Detroit day where you can have Pistons and Red Wings.
Yeah, and we had the
There you go.
Pistons in the afternoon, and turning from hockey to basketball is a lot more challenging than going from basketball to hockey because the arena is already built and fit out for hockey, right? The ice is always there, the dasher board's already there, so the complexities of stripping from that and going to basketball was a challenge, but it was awesome.
Yeah, and maybe with the venue, what's it like with the technology? Obviously, we're from Daktronics. We know about the video boards and the center hungs and things like that. What was it like fitting that technology into that building and prepping for that game day experience?
If you go back to 2017 when we were kind of integrating the team into the arena and we were going through the shop drawing process with the board that's there, which is a huge cube I'm sure you guys have seen with some really cool underbelly boards. There was some nuances that were interesting and a little bit different between us and hockey. The jump ball camera was very important to us, so integrating that into the board between both teams was an interesting process. But I think at the end of the day, it came out fantastic, and our board's outstanding, state of the art. Huge thanks to you guys.
And when you got ready for that project in 2017, then what was it like? I know usually we hear that people will travel around and look at what else is going on. Like, what was it like getting ready for that building to even open up, to know this is what we're looking for and this is what we want in there?
It was a race against time, right?
Yeah.
As it always is. A lot happens in the last few months of every project. Ownership, I think, on both sides, the Red Wings and the Pistons, were really helpful and quick decision-making. Our construction manager was excellent, receptive to changes and moving on the fly. Integrating our team into Little Caesars Arena was done in 13 months. And just for example, the normal duration to move any team, any NBA team, into an existing facility is 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
So a lot happened quickly. But it came out fantastic, and I think we have a state-of-the-art facility, and we're lucky to be there and happy to be there.
Yeah, we'll run down the quick stats of that board you mentioned. You said it's a giant cube. It was the largest center hung in an NBA facility when it was installed, for sure. 5,100 square feet total video displays, and the full display system has 13,000 square feet and more than 16 million pixels in there. So there's a lot of real estate to work with. And maybe that's a good segue. How are you kind of leveraging that on game day? Is there anything specific that you do with that? Obviously, you're doing different things than hockey for basketball.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did that was kind of unique last year was one of our editors actually made a video where it wrapped around the board. It was probably one of the coolest things
That
I've
zero
ever
edge
seen.
on the corner is cool.
Yeah. So wherever you're sitting, if you're sitting on the north end to the east, you're all seeing something different on that board. And he got it to be one consistent video that was all the way around. And I've never seen anything like that in an arena. Really cool.
Nice.
So.
And then Nick, maybe to you, kind of, is it with your ability to kind of design these things and lay them out? Are you involved like when it was the brand new facility, during renovations? Are you kind of involved in all those different aspects, or kind of how do you fit into these different things?
Yeah, so when we were moving in, it was how, with the existing plans, how the NBA facility guidelines could fit into the arena plan for a dual-purpose arena. So it was making sure all the flow and the locker rooms were all oriented right, the square footages, club square footages, for facility requirements for both leagues. That's a challenge, is making sure it works for everyone, and multi-purpose with the changing, environment of how there's always new technology, new trends always coming. So I think that was the fun part. It was, working with the team, the Red Wings, and the contractor to get the state of the art at the time, and then it gives us that runway to keep providing great experiences for the fans.
Does that run into like where you set up the scores tables and how you move around, because you have to obviously switch from hockey to basketball? Does it run into that and how you design that setup?
Luckily, a basketball court is smaller than a hockey arena or a hockey sheet of ice, so it actually works out really well for Little Caesars Arena. Having the court in there, the sight lines are great for basketball, so that was like a really positive thing. And the other big investment that we went with was a dual rise system for the stadia on the both end zones, where we have the courtside clubs. Okay. So that future foresight into that flexibility gave us an opportunity to plan for these clubs and the changeover. So that was kind of exciting, and we still use that technology today.
Yeah, and then maybe back to Casey. Then, if you're looking at a game day production of what it looks like, is it when you have the facility and then you have two different teams? Do you have one team that kind of helps run all the control equipment, or do you kind of have some focused on one versus the other?
Yeah, so we on a game day we have our game presentation team, which I support both game presentation. You do have to support a little bit in the broadcast. There's usually a home and a visit show, and then I support video in the locker room. So there's actually multiple shows that are going on at one time. So for the game pres in-house show, they actually work with, it's all the same team as far as the folks who are running our show control, running the ads on Daktronics. It's all timed out. They're kind of following the directions from our director that's sitting down at the court side. Everything is scripted out and timed out. So it's all roped in together.
Does that include the displays outside? I mean, we've talked in bowl a lot, and I know there's plenty of displays outside the arena as well. Mm-hmm. So are you in charge of kind of making sure the right ads or sponsorship stuff is going on out there, or the new messages?
That's also tied into part of our control room. We actually control a lot of that through the IPTV system that runs out there. But they have a script they got to follow. They know what's got to be out there at what time and for how long. So it's stuff that people don't think about, but there's somebody doing it.
It's a great question. It's a shared facility, but it's really important for us for the facility to feel like a basketball building, feel like the Pistons' home on our game days. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge transformation every game day. Fortunately, red is in both of our color palettes. Yeah. But there's a lot that's done, and through the expertise of people like Casey, I think it really makes it feel like a Pistons home game in Little Caesars when we play.
Because I imagine you're getting requests maybe from both teams sometimes. Is it to do different things with the displays? So is it kind of you do some with one team, some with the other? Or are they completely kind of out of your production meetings and things like that?
Yeah, typically we're kind of more concerned about the home team. So
yeah, it's definitely a shared experience, though. We have plenty of, I think, both teams kind of symbolism and branding throughout the arena, but on our game days we definitely try to lean in on the Pistons look and feel, make people feel like they're at a basketball game.
Yeah, and maybe even that. Are you looking at some of the things they're doing with their game day and saying, oh, we want to steal that and kind of tweak it and make it our own? Or do you look at other things that are going on league wide and say, oh, this is a cool idea, we need to take that and implement it here?
I know a lot of people rip off our stuff. I can tell you firsthand, if you look at our clubs and some of the things we're doing, I really feel like we're on cutting edge.
You're the trendsetter.
Yeah, I really do. But I'm sure there's been instances along the way that we've borrowed some other ideas from other teams, and perhaps the Red Wings. I just can't recall them right now.
Yeah, imitation's the best form of flattery. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's funny. We were even talking about it. We were with Detroit Tigers earlier, and we went to their game last night, and there was different things I saw on the video board that I hadn't seen in a while. There was people are doing the face filters now.
Oh, yeah.
Over someone, so they're making them wearing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then the most disturbing one was the snack words one, where people are eating snacks and they show it in reverse. So I was like, I don't know if those are trends or not, or because there's anything else, but those are two that
we do
stuck
that
out to
too.
me. From it was one of those disturbing things, but everyone kept watching them as it happened. But.
What about
So
the
now
video?
it's in 1080 on that huge board.
Yeah.
For the scan the QR.
Oh, the 15 seconds of fame.
Have you seen that?
No.
Is it where somebody's phone takes over the video board and it's showing them?
Well, there's that. That's the selfie cam, where
okay.
basically you just log into this app, and then we can see all the people who are signed into this app and doing something on their selfie, and we can pick and throw people on the video board.
Yeah.
And there's also the one that has the facial recognition, so if you get on the video board, it'll record it and send it to your phone as well.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
So you get a little memento to take home.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
kind of helps with that overall experience, right, of making it unique to somebody when they come in.
Oh,
Yeah.
people love it.
Yeah. People always love seeing themselves.
love
in
seeing
the videos. I mean,
themselves.
I've been we were joking around, Will and I yesterday too. I've been Daktronics for a long time, but it never gets old when people see themselves up on a video board and they got to point at it. It's just amazing seeing it on a big video board like
Second to only to getting a free T-shirt.
that. Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
T-shirt cannons and free T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you've had the display for quite a few years at Little Caesars Arena, and maybe you've learned a few things and learned a few tricks. Do you have any different things planned? Like you said, you're always on the cutting edge, and people are kind of taking some of your ideas. Is there anything that you're looking forward to implement this upcoming season, or is it kind of
That you can mention. or-
yeah? You don't have to spill the secret sauce there if you don't need to. It's just say, yeah, we got something for you, or
And if it's a surprise, we understand.
I would say, do I have anything like any knowledge? No, but I'm sure that the production team absolutely is thinking
Absolutely
of
does.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then they usually present it to us closer to the season. We make it happen. So
Yeah.
We're on the hardware side of content creation. We have creative people that do stuff like that, and they do an exceptional job. And I have no doubt we're going to have an outstanding display of whatever they do.
Yeah.
They come to you with the ideas and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and then it's like, can you guys make this work,
pretty much.
Can
yeah.
we do that?
Yeah. Yep.
or find a way to make sure that it happens?
Yeah, kind of the same way at the G League too. Where for our G League team, we have Daktronics board over there as well, and trying to do different things on that as well. So it's you just roll with it,
Yeah.
and make it happen. So
And you mentioned there's a lot of other events that can happen, right? Like concerts and stuff like that. How involved are you guys in that? I mean, maybe in the design, it's essentially like a multi-purpose run, right? Because you're having hockey, basketball, but you also have concerts. But how is it like when a concert production comes in? Do they ever? Sometimes we hear they tie into the boards, right, to use them, but sometimes they bring in their own stuff. Do you kind of deal with both sides of that, or?
I can take that.
Yeah.
The large majority of the time, all the time, really, they bring their own stuff.
Okay.
They don't tie into our boards. I also oversee production at Pine Knob Amphitheater, Meadowbrook, and Freedom Hill. So it's the same thing. People bring their stuff with them in almost every case and do their thing.
Okay.
I guess though you have to keep an eye on the calendar and which concerts are coming through before and after game days, because there's a lot of trucks and they come in a few days before and there's load in, and then all of a sudden the event level is full of all the road cases. So that would be some of the overlap between the sporting events and the concerts.
I gotcha. And this may be a story that I heard at Daktronics, not sure, but it was this past year when putting up, we're getting ready for the New England Patriots end zone display. They had said something that Taylor Swift was coming through and definitely wanted to use the board for the concert. So I'm not sure if that made us rush it to install it in time, but I heard that may or may not have had an influence of getting it up there. So that's why I ask, because sometimes a concert venue may come in and say yes or no or just get out of the way kind of stuff. But
Yeah, usually they want it hiked up as high as it can be.
so it's not obstructing
Yeah.
views of the concert on one end or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, and maybe even more so, like with the technology itself, how is it kind of working with Daktronics in that process of, okay, this is the technology, this is where it's going to be, this is what you can do with it? What was it like kind of working with our team to get it set up for you?
I mean, I've had exceptional experience working with Daktronics. I put a lot of boards in. I put a scoreboard in at the Palace of Auburn Hills in 2013, 2014. At the time, it was the coolest scoreboard in the league. It had 60 feet long, 38,000 pounds, curved screens, underbelly screens, really a really awesome board. And that was done, again, with a late start. It was done incredibly fast. We started it, I think, in mid or third week of June, and it was done for that season.
wow.
So it was done incredibly fast, and if not for the help of people like Will Ellerbruck at Daktronics, it would have never happened. And we had an exceptional project manager, Trevor Moser. I mean, I remember all the players distinctly. And it really gave me a head start understanding the intricacies in technology when we moved into Little Caesars and integrated into that building and built the board from that, really from scratch, from concept through construction or production, I guess I should say. So yeah, we've had outstanding experience working with DAC on everything. I bought scoreboards, scoring tables, shot clocks, the whole gamut, and it's been great.
Awesome.
I can't say enough about Daktronics.
Have
and
you
the
been up to
response,
South Dakota at all?
service. No, I've been invited
Okay.
to the pheasant hunt, I think every year for 20 years. I just haven't had the chance to do it.
Yeah. You
But I
mentioned
look forward to
scoreboard.
doing it at some point. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned scoreboards, and we got to see a couple of those here in the Performance Center. What was it like kind of designing for the stuff to come into this facility too?
Yeah, it was great that we were able to integrate the actual scoring, the scoreboards within the court design. So with all the elevations, everything's purposely placed and located, and the colors match our colors. So everything really looks nice in there right now.
Yeah, that was definitely impressive to go back there and see it. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see all that kind of come in. And then maybe back to you, Casey. You've been here for 4 years, but what's been your experience maybe with Daktronics, either our control systems or what you've had experience with?
Yeah, so I was trained on show control. I think you guys' technology is great. It's easy to use. And then as far as like service and support, I think there was one time when we added the club, the Bet Rivers Club, we had to have our fiber go around the court instead of going straight out. And I think I reached out to Val, and they overnighted some stuff to get us ready for preseason quickly.
Nice.
So, I've had nothing but great experience. And even here at the practice facility, one thing that I like is the fact that it's wireless.
Oh, yeah. Radio.
So when we got to move those things, when we got to resand the court, so it's a lot easier just to move the stanchions out. So.
Nice.
Yeah, as we speak, we're ordering DAC clocks here in this building, so we're really familiar with the team and love working with you guys and Val. It's great.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that definitely, and definitely appreciate the DAC clock naming it that way. We joke
Yeah.
sometimes. What do you call your displays? Right, when we ask customers, it's the old school way of calling it a jumbotron. Right, was our competitor way back in the day. So, but what do you call it now? Do you have a name for your board? Do you name it, or do you just call it a video board, or what do you call it?
At the arena?
Yeah.
We call it the center hung.
Yeah.
The center, just the center hung.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, we just asked the Tigers the same thing. They called theirs Tiger Vision. So didn't know. Some people are into naming it a different thing, or
Yeah.
if they just say that's the video board or that's the center.
Yeah, NBA teams just call it center hung.
Center hungs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. And maybe through your experiences, you've seen a few things when you've been involved in these productions and trying to get new technology and those capital expenditures. Is there any advice you'd give somebody else who's maybe looking to go through this process and get new technology?
Well, I think we always are looking at other teams. There's always new technology, different, meetings and flyers and the sports business journals, the periodicals. I think
Okay.
that's usually what I look into is, seeing what other teams are doing, because everyone in the off season is doing something. So
Yeah.
you have to keep an eye out to see what other teams are doing. If we're not up this year, somebody is, so we can be ready for next season.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I mean,
Everybody's looking at it through a different lens, right?
Yeah.
It depends. Certain teams, if you're tied to a kind of a fiscal limitation, I guess for lack of better words, you may not want the latest greatest technology. It's always more expensive. There's a premium to pay for the latest greatest technology. On our side, we're always looking for the latest greatest technology on behalf of the Pistons. So we're lucky from that perspective, but it really depends on the lens you're looking through and I guess in what you're supporting. I think the most important thing is really to communicate with other teams and learn best practices, because it isn't necessarily the technology or the board or the sign that you're hanging as much as it is the infrastructure, location, structural requirements. When we put the board at the Palace, for example, we have, $12 or $13 million in LED between the Palace and the amphitheaters at one time. But we also had $2 or $3 million in structural steel reinforcing that had to be done. We had to reinforce the trusses, bottom quarter of the trusses from end zone of the building all the way across. So that was a $2 or $3 million endeavor of itself that had to be done 24/7 in and around events, covering every single seat with fire blankets. So there's a lot more, I guess, just to research and understand relative to best practices than just knowing the technology and when and where and how cool the board is that you're planning on hanging.
Yeah, it's not always just the display.
Yeah, no, it's really not. The power, structural requirements, space, there's a lot to consider.
Maybe anything from the production side?
No, I feel like every time I'm getting quotes, I'm just being like, how many pixels can I get?
Yeah, can't be too big or too clear. Right?
Don't be afraid to ask for what you think you want more pixels.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever said my TV's too big?
Or complained about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, that's good though. But we definitely do appreciate you guys coming out here. I mean, especially we're out here in Detroit. It's the first time I would say out here in 17 years. I came through as a DAC intern 17 years ago, but it was doing sound demo trips to high schools in the area, but never got to actually come in downtown. But it's nice, I would say, and surprising that I didn't realize that everything's so close together down there, right? I'm a big sports fan, but I never realized, right, Comerica Park, Little Caesars Arena, Ford Field, that everything's down there. Is there something cool about that? I get the sense already from talking with you all and the Tigers that there is like a...
April and the D.
Yeah. But there's like a camaraderie, right? I mean, amongst Detroit professional sports teams down there. Is that kind of what it is like down there? That's the feeling I get, but...
Absolutely. We work really closely with the Red Wings, Tigers, and Lions. Absolutely a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah, no, it comes
A lot of
across as
friends,
pretty
a
cool.
lot of friends
Yeah.
on all the other teams, a lot of friends at Daktronics, great friends like Diane Ferrante.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, got to give Diane a shout out.
Yeah, that wasn't going to get by me.
And it's kind of unique too. You got all the pro teams kind of in downtown of the city. Like that's not often that all 4 pro teams with across 3 facilities are that close to the downtown area. Is that kind of just light up the city on game days for you guys?
Absolutely. We're thrilled to be downtown, especially on games like I discussed earlier. We have double events with the Red Wings and our team, and in some cases there's a Lions game as well. So it's really outstanding.
We'd like to thank you all for taking the time to sit down with us and talk with us today. It's been great to hear your experiences with Little Caesars Arena and this Performance Center.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.